Yeah. Team 1 got eliminated in the hot sun of Vietnam. I was passed out on the ground. Really wanted to see my mom. Got up and had some hallucinations. The world thought I was crazy. In the end of the day, though, no one can say I was being lazy. It's the heat stroke in Vietnam. Got that heat stroke in Vietnam. Ain't nothing to play with. Heat stroke in Vietnam. Yeah.
Yay! Oh wait, so this is actually, the leg starts in Greece, and this was actually a highlight of the race, was not only our taxi driver that day, who was awesome.
He taught us the history of Greece, basically.
And he also knew that people bungee jumped off the Corinth Canal, so we kind of knew. Oh, I put it up there. Emergency! Emergency! Floyd does not have his photometer on!
I almost just stabbed my nipple. Okay, let's go.
We knew it was going to be bungee jumping, and I asked Floyd, who's very nice about letting me take on these adrenaline challenges that I really was looking forward to. And it was a lot scarier than I expected. I had like a blood-curdling scream, and that was uncontrollable.
Did you think that, which was scarier, skydiving or that?
I feel like that was scarier.
Yeah, I would agree. Because you don't have a person guy, it's like just you.
And also just jumping into free space, and with the walls so close you could like feel the walls of the canal.
Oh,
and
shoot.
we got really close to the water. Like they said that like people sometimes touch it. After that, we went to the travel agency.
Yep. So what happened is they didn't show this. So we had to go to a travel agency, and it was like basically like we pull up. And, like, the 4 teams were like, who's in the taxi? Like, is it Mike or Liz or Team Fun? And then we emerged, and they were like, oh, Team Fun's here! And, like, Joey and Tara probably weren't enthusiastic about it, but they were still... We basically, like, immediately... Like, I sat right next to Joey, and you sat right next to Tara, and we, like, immediately were like, hey, we're chill.
Get it.
Yeah,
we get it.
We were gonna U-turn you.
First, actually, we were sitting outside the travel agency, and our taxi driver was even more awesome.
Yeah!
And he bought us and our camera guys ice cream.
Yeah, he was just like, you guys want... yeah! Lolo, Brooke and Scott, and Team Fun, we all go to this Greek tavern, and we just like chill, have this... First of all, this is... Because I just had turned 21, right? So I'm getting acquainted to the world of beer. And so I had this beer that was like the best... European... Someone told me European beer is like the best beer, and like that Greek beer was like so good. Do you remember?
Clearly he's a beer connoisseur.
Clearly. Anyway.
European beers, all those lagers are just
is that not a thing people say? Don't they say European beer is like better than American beer? Is that not right?
Basically it was Floyd's first enjoyment. He sips it. Oh, this is kind of good. We had some local gyros.
Yeah.
And
gyro.
And they also like gave us some like complimentary. Like, we thought it was, like, bacon or something, but it was, like, they had, like, a kind of shawarma-style shave off the rotating meat.
Okay, you napped in this airport, like what's it called?
It was, like, a vest, I don't know, it was, like, a weird room thing.
Like a prayer room, right?
Yeah, prayer room, yeah.
She napped in the airport prayer room.
It was in the lobby of the prayer room.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to disrespect the prayer room, but it was the lobby of the prayer room.
So then, me and Becca, Logan, and Redmond, we like snuck into this closed like cafe restaurant. We just kind of like went behind the curtain, and we like sat at a table and like played cards and poker for like hours. Yeah.
Juggling balls. This is the airport we looked for juggling balls in, and we could not find juggling balls.
Because we wanted to juggle. We learned how to juggle. No, not learn. We learned each other could juggle.
And then we realized we should have brought juggling balls on this race. These airport layovers. Well, for All-Stars, we'll be bringing
for All-Stars. Vietnam. So we fly, and it's another race off the airplane. Most stressful part of the race is when all the teams have to run off the airplane.
Of course, Team Fun rocks the first place.
We do, yep. We get to the statue. Had no idea where we were placing, but we just like, book it up there. Yeah. We see, we see Phil. So we're like, we're in first place. Okay, let's go. You can see their faces. Like we're trying to act casual. We're like, So that was cool.
Yeah, Floyd crushed the fan challenge.
Told us to get back in our taxi, go to that temple.
The Buddhist temple, where you weren't allowed to run, as you can tell. It was nice to just slow down for a second.
Yep. And that was amazing, right? Because, like, especially you were very like, can we just take a second and, like, because I was ready to go.
Yeah.
And you were like, Becca was like, can we just take a second and, like, just look at this?
I kind of wanted to go in and take our shoes off, but I was like, okay, this isn't the time for that.
Yeah. So we
also, part of it, they didn't have a show, like, we donated, that was part of the challenge,
money.
was
you had to donate some money.
Donate some dong.
Yep.
They never had us say dong once.
Yep. That's the
they had
Vietnamese currency. Bamboo climb or window design. Why do we choose bamboo climb?
I mean, as you saw, my face was like, duh.
Yeah.
Like, attention to detail challenges are not for me.
You literally run, what, a mile to 2 miles?
Probably something like that.
To get, just to get to the bamboo line.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that, running through the streets. Our camera guy was on. Was that when he was? Our camera guy was on a Vespa.
Yeah, camera guy and sound guy are like riding along with us. This honestly is one of my favorite challenges because like we're crowded. It's so crowded, and you're just like, let's go, let's go. So we run like a mile probably to get to the bamboo.
All these people are like selling things out of these baskets, and they're.
It was awesome.
Yeah, really like felt like we were ingrained in this other world.
So good. And then so we get the ladder. Then we, our clue tells us like the shop you have to go to. So basically, like we run a couple blocks, stop and ask. Run another couple blocks, stop and ask. It was so amusing. We're blocking traffic. Like, how is this legal?
There's no stop signs. You just have to inch your way into it. It's like, hope everyone stops for us in our 20-foot ladder.
Yeah, it's like such a liability, whatever.
Please go on off the ladder for me. I was like scared.
Yeah, because at first
Matt almost fell off.
At first I pictured, for some reason I thought the challenge was going to be, it wasn't even going to be leaning against anything. The ladder was just going to be like straight vertical, and you had to like climb. That's what I thought we were going to have to do.
Super sketchy.
Yeah. So I take the bird cage and run down to the bottom and just like set it there, and that's when I see Matt and Redmond. They're like right there. I'm like, Becca, they're here. And we're like, oh crap. So then at first it was actually really funny. I was like, hey, can you guys just wait so we get can we get down and then you can go up? And they're like, no. And I was like, that was actually kind of a stupid question. I don't want to over exaggerate the running that this challenge required, but it was so much running.
It was a lot.
So get to the park, just book it in there, basically go straight to the center. See Phil next to this little mini train going around.
The train was like making these weird laps.
And then he was like, you're team number 1. We were like,
worst to first. Worst to first. Wait, can we do a worst to first dance?
Yeah, here we go.
Worst to first. Worst to first.
Wait, like worst to first.
Okay.
Worst to.
Wait, one more time.
Worst to. Wait, that's 4.
Okay, 2. Okay.
Worst to first.
Oh, so we became Funstoppable.
Yeah, we're like,
we embraced our new identity. Thank you to our camera guy, Alan.
Yeah, he came up with that.
He said, you guys, you went through Greece. I mean, you guys are Funstoppable.
We're just like,
and we were like, oh, what? How did we not come up with that?
I mean, honestly, I feel like if we come back, we should be called Funstoppable.
Yeah,
like Team Funstoppable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's our evolution. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so boys came in. I said unboy-leavable.
Yep.
Pun points for Becca.
Yeah. Sounds like a boy band name. Unboy-leavable.
Fun-boy-leavable. That's like our joint team.
That's,
Not really.
No. You see in the YouTube video, Matt and Ripton were like, we literally had a perfect leg. We made no mistakes, and we still came in second. And we were like, that felt good. Because, like, if they can have a perfect leg and we can beat them, like,
we're going to win this race.
Yeah, we're going to win the amazing race.
We're going into the next leg with the utmost confidence that this was a race for first between Matt and Redmond and Team Fun. We were on the bus with them. We had a great bus ride. It was totally weird.
Played some games.
Strange music videos of the local, like, soap, like, opera, not soap opera, but opera singing.
Or just singing, like the Vietnamese American Idol is what it looks like.
It was so odd. And then and it was like, there was all these, it was like a party bus, there was all these lights and the horn, remember the horn? Was like,
oh, I do remember.
So we're honking our way through, like, this is another country where you just honk to let people know that you're there.
It's not disrespectful. It's just
it's respect.
Yeah.
Super weird. They had these in the middle of the aisles, because there were so many people on this bus and not enough seats, they had like little benches they put in the middle of the aisle to like add an extra seat in the middle of the aisle.
Oh yeah.
There was like no leg room at all, and the guy in front of me like had his seat leaning back, and I was like, "Excuse, like, sir, you can't do that. Like, you're literally like cramming my knees right now."
Yeah.
So
the bus arrives. We get off the bus. We actually have to take a taxi to a lake or something.
Yeah.
And we're in the Ninh Binh Mountains, which are beautiful. And we get our bikes and hop on our bike, and we start biking to the temple.
That's where we got the roaming gnome, which we had been really awaiting this moment.
Yeah, I was like, it's leg 10. Where's my roaming gnome?
Yeah.
I was like, that's why I'm on the Amazing Race.
No. And at this point, and like this was, I mean, as we get further into this story, the saga of, you know, the decline of Team Fun, it all began with this very competitive mindset that I know I was fully encompassed in. It was very tunnel vision to be in first place and to beat the boys. And I completely had no perspective on the fact that all we needed to do was beat one team to get to the Final Four, which would be one step closer to the Final Three. I was lost from that perspective. And that was ultimately my personal downfall, was being so wrapped in the competition. And I remember biking with Floyd, and we're right behind the boys, like not even 3 seconds behind them.
Lick them.
We could lick them.
Yep, I did.
and like Floyd was literally right behind me, and I was still like kind of coaxing him to move faster.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm not the strongest bicyclist in the world.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that I live in Boulder, Colorado. Sorry, Boulder.
But that's why I should have just dropped back to hang out with you, and I just wanted to bike next to Floyd. Like I was like, Floyd, come on, like speed up so we can bike next to each other and like enjoy this together. But what I should have done was just slow down a little bit. This is when I said to Floyd that I said, this is when you can give me the feedback to like tell me to calm down a bit and just slow it down. It's okay. Like we're gonna be okay. And because Floyd had that perspective, he said, I'm just enjoying the scenery out here. And
I said after the fact.
I said, can you enjoy the scenery a little faster, please?
Yeah.
Peel into the roadblock.
Yep.
And I also remember that we had talked about, after our Venice wrap about Floyd and Becca roadblock, we had made a deal with each other that we were going to do that wrap every time there was a roadblock.
I forgot about that.
Which was going to give us the opportunity to step back.
Yeah. First of all, if we looked, we could have seen the bikes in the frames.
We didn't even look up.
And she's a strong bicyclist and a strong woman in general. She's physical as
strong
food.
Woman.
You know what I mean? So I think this challenge was made for Becca.
So we open up our roadblock clue, and it says, "Who's feeling trapped?"
And I was like, I'm feeling trapped. I was like, maybe it's going to be like I have to escape something.
That's how frantic we were. Floyd ripped it. He couldn't even rip it.
To be fair, I did this a lot on the race. I'm not good at ripping roadblocks.
But that's how, it's like,
yeah, but that was also how frantic
we could have just been like, ripping slowly.
Yeah.
There it is, folks. Sounds simple in theory.
But in practice,
not so simple.
Moment of my life. I start the roadblock, right? And so the first part of it I felt great about, because it was like basically to load the right number of traps onto your bike.
I was like, it's a counting challenge.
Yeah.
Floyd's great at this.
I can count to 10 or like whatever. It was like 27 bundles is what it ended up being. So like I counted, and Matt and I kind of worked together. Looking back, I think part of because they were falling off like crazy, and watching the episode I was shocked how much they were falling off. And I actually thought about that this morning. I think part of the reason why they fell off so much is you saw that a lot of them that fell off were those skinny bundles, right? They weren't like the big bulbous ones, they were like the skinny ones. So the big bulbous ones, they were on the roof, or like the top of the contraption, or whatever you want, the mechanism, right? So like I looped those around several times, whereas the skinny ones, I kind of just like hung on there. You know what I mean? It didn't occur to me that I should wrap it around. It also didn't occur to me how ridiculously difficult it would have been to balance that bike. I look back and being like, Floyd, that wasn't that hard. People were like, the bike must have been so heavy.
No, it was hard. It was hard.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. It was hard, but I could have handled it better, but
yeah, I mean,
woulda, coulda, shoulda. Anyway, so I start the first time, had no idea. Especially seeing that shot where at the very beginning a trap was already off. I was watching that. As I was watching that last night, my mouth was just like, Are you serious?
And I was standing there with Redmond, and I watched them.
Yeah.
I watched the first, like, he didn't even move, and there was 2 that fell off.
Yeah.
And that was, I literally, like, instinctively was like, and like you saw it, and I was like, I was about to be like, Floyd, you dropped a few, and then Redmond kind of, you know, he was on my side. It wasn't like he was trying to hinder us at all by saying, oh no, penalty. And definitely one of the moments I've repeated in my mind many, many, many times is just, what if I had just said, Floyd, you dropped some, and taken whatever penalty it would have been.
For those of you who don't know,
I don't know what it would have been.
What she's talking about, when a roadblock's happening, the partner watching can't say anything that helps. They can only say words of encouragement. So she was not allowed to tell me that some fell off. She could not.
But it could have been a 30-minute penalty.
Yeah, which would have kept us in the race. So like at the beginning, like trying to bike it, and like with varying success. It kept falling down, but like eventually I got to one. That's the one you saw where I was like, I got this. I'm going. And then like it just fell, and I was like, crap. And so I kept struggling with that probably for another like 20 to 30 minutes. When Matt comes back, he helps me rebalance my bicycle, and I was like, hey, how do you ride this thing? Like, how did you do this? And I think what he said, he basically told me like, sit on the part in front of the seat and kind of like run it. You know what I mean? Like just kind of like run the bike. That process, in hindsight, because hindsight's awesome and I love it. I hate it so much. I would have kept trying to ride that bike because I'm confident that even if it would have taken me like 30 more minutes to do it, sitting on the bar and like going and like kind of walking the bike was so slow, and the entire weight of the bike basically was just like on my body doing that. Whereas if I had like actually rode it and like just figured it out and been persistent with riding it, first of all, I would have gone much faster forward. I would have had to come back anyway, but I would have done it so much faster. And then also, I just wouldn't have been nearly as physically exhausted if I had just learned how to ride the bikes. I see the marked fisherman thing, and I hear myself say this in episodes, so I see the marked fisherman thing, my bike falls again, and then some of the ones in the like front pouch area that you kind of stuck in a hole fell out, and at that point I was like, okay, you know what, they fell out, whatever, let's just let's just get to the end, drop them off, and come back for these. And then he's like, no, you can't leave all these here, you have to like bring them all back with you. Also, people are like, you have to, why didn't you just run back and get the traps? You had to be with your bike the entire time.
Is there a reason you didn't bring like extras?
I thought that would have been, they would have been like, no.
Yeah.
But at this point I have no idea what the number was, so I like have to go all the way back to the beginning. And I was, the entire time I was just like, I did not want to look at Becca's face, because I'm like, I'm so upset with like letting her down. I know she must be stressed with Floof out. So like, I literally get back to her.
It was gone for so long.
For perspective, how long did the entire thing take?
I feel like we were there for like 3 hours.
Yeah. So I was like basically doing that for three plus hours.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, some of the mental effects of the heat stroke I think started to set in, because so there was the model and then there was my bike. I switched the two. So there was a point where I thought my bike was the model and the model was my bike. So like, and I remember London was like, Floyd, no, that's wrong. What are you doing, Floyd? And I'm like, London, this is my bike. It's my bike. And then it took me like 5 minutes before I figured out, your bike's over there, Floyd. You've been like,
wow,
almost, and it was insane. So like, I kept counting and I was like, why doesn't this look right? Looking at my bike, thinking it was the model.
And just like to give a little bit more, I mean, obviously you could tell it's super hot. The like production team was telling me, I was standing there doing nothing. They were making sure that I was staying hydrated with electrolyte fluids, that I had these cold towels to put on. Like they were doing that for my stagnant body, while Floyd is out there taking tiny sips.
Basically, London, Scott, and I kind of work together to make sure we get the right number, because I'm like, if I get down there again and it's wrong, like, I might actually think. Not actually thinking it was going to happen, but... so we work together. Eventually, Scott just kind of like leaves and goes, and he killed it. He could ride the bicycle. He's awesome. Good job, Scott. I respect that so much. Basically, London and I set off on our own and just started to walk the bikes together. And so her bike was just naturally closer to the gate, so she was in front of me and I was behind her. But she was like struggling real hard. So like you see me pass her. To try to like help her like get the bike up, and she's like, "It's okay if you just take the lead." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then eventually, like I'm ahead of her, just like trudging along. The entire time she's like, "Floyd, how much further is it?" And I know that this was the longest trail ever. I mean, essentially to walk this bike down the thing took 30 to 40 minutes.
A mile of walking with...
Yeah, a mile of like crawling. Essentially, is like how fast we were going. And eventually I hear her like kind of crash in the background. She's like, Floyd, Floyd, Floyd. And she sounded like she was dying. Like, that's how distressed she was. And I was like, oh, what is going on? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, like, I can put it down, but like, honestly, if I put this bike down, I don't know if I have the energy to get it back up. But I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are like, you should have just left her, but I knew how hard this thing was, and like, it just...
You're too kind-hearted.
Yeah, I'm too kind-hearted. Didn't feel right to just leave her. So what I ended up doing was, I was passing by, because there were some locals kind of along this rural trail, and I basically like kind of talked to one of them for like a minute, being like, can you help her? Can you help her? Can you help her get her bike up? It was about a quarter of a mile, I think it was a quarter of a mile, from the end where the fisherman's village was. And my bike falls again, because I just lost the balance. So I pick it up, and I think that's the moment where that last shrimp trap, that single shrimp trap, fell off. And every time, like, on the second way back, I didn't lose my balance near as much, but it happened a couple times. Every time I would say, I'd ask London, hey, did anything fall off? Do you see anything on the ground? Like, is everything still there? And each time she would say, yeah. And that time, I guess she just didn't see it. I highly don't think she was trying to sabotage me. She just didn't see that a bike. I asked if there was any traps that fell off. There was, but I guess she didn't see it, which is okay. I love London. Great person. I don't hate her for that. So I bring my bike to the fisherman. He takes it from me. I run back, help London carry her bike in. And then he comes up to me and he's like, nope, no good. And yeah, that was like probably one of the lowest moments of the race, if not my, life, because I'm physically exhausted. I'm losing this massive lead on the Amazing Race. I feel terrible. I was thinking about Becca so much. It was like, I cannot lose this for her. I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do? And then the final nail that like really hit me hard was when London goes up and they're like, yeah, you have them all, good job. So then I'm like, I counted wrong, like, because I didn't know it had fallen off. So I had to take a second. I sat down, just like drenched myself in water, drank, and that's when you saw me, I didn't remember I said this, but that's when you saw me say, I just like feel like I have to take a nap, because like I was just shocked. But I was like, I cannot give up. And then so at that moment I'm like, okay, this is what the Amazing Race wants. They want to physically exhaust you, they want to make you feel hopeless, and I was like, I'm not gonna give up. So I stood up. My first thought was like, maybe I have one too many. So then I was like, that'd be the best thing ever. So I took one of the bundles off the top and let him recount it. As he was recounting it, I noticed, I can't exactly describe the exact model, but there was like a series of low-hanging ones here and a series of low-hanging ones here, and I noticed one of the low-hanging ones was off. And I was like, oh my god, so mad, so mad.
It's amazing he was like that kind of aware still at that moment. I mean,
yeah.
You can see in the, like, even when he's drinking water, it's just like,
yeah,
like he's weak and weary.
Yeah. I decided maybe it's on the trail. So I left, because I couldn't pick it up, but I could clearly see where it was. So I run up the trail for about a quarter of a mile, which I could actually from that point see it pretty well. There was the shrimp trap just laying there. So I was like, okay. So I take my bike back, go up that little rocky hill.
Freaking treacherous.
Yeah, and then I kind of truck it back. What was actually interesting is there was a local there who I asked him, because like when I got to the top of the trail, it fell again. While I was standing there, I was like, hey, can you help me lift this up? He actually lifted it up for me, hopped on it, and rode it to the next trap. It was really nice of him, and I was also like, how are you doing this? I just didn't understand. But they're so, yeah, everyone there is like just rowing with their feet, pedaling these bicycles. Like, you guys are the most skilled people in the world. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Anyway, so I get there, I thank him for his help, we turn my bike around, then it's back to me. I trudge one last second, falls again right before the fisherman village. At this moment, I don't know if I felt anger, but I felt, let's be done. So I hoist it up. There's another one that fell off. I start kicking it. So I'm like half carrying the bike, half kicking this trap to the village. Finally get there, put it on the bike, and I'm like, I'm done. They count it, they say you're good. Then what you have to do actually after that's all over is the bike's empty, so you have to unload all the traps. So I'm just like, okay, we're still in it. I unload all the traps, super exhausted still, but I'm like, now that the weight of all these shrimp traps are gone, it'll be fine, right? Like, it's whatever. So now we're going to talk about the part where I had a heat stroke, but they actually spared you some of the worst. So what happened is I start pedaling this bike, and like probably about after 2 seconds, I immediately fall into this like rocky path to the side. And I'm just like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, this bike's just hard to balance. Like, to be fair, I had no idea what was going on with me. Because I feel like anyone who's had a heat stroke, let me know. But I feel like when you have a heat stroke, you don't know you're having a heat stroke. And I'm also, like, in general, a very optimistic person. So my, like, optimistic gland went hyperdrive. It was like, go. You're fine. Go. And also, I think there was part of me that was still conscious that, like, didn't want to give up, right? So I pick it up. I start biking back on the empty bike. And I fall again. So I actually fall twice before I finally got back to Becca. So when I get back to Becca,
I was like, well, I was ready for him. I was like, you're amazing. Like, get back to you. He's like still in this. I could see his exhaustion the first time he came back, and I just felt like absolutely just awful.
I felt bad too. I was like, I fricked up, but it didn't matter because we're gonna keep going, and we weren't that far behind. And our camera guys are actually saying like. Because they know we've come back from like seemingly impossible odds.
We're gonna come back.
Yeah, they're like, you guys got this. You guys got this. And we're like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, they kept saying it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, and we're like, yes, okay. There's so much more leg left. So I get on the bike in the roadblock area. I remember as I'm turning around, I like fall immediately. And then, like, are you okay? And I'm like, it's fine.
And I thought because when he was gone, I actually raised the seat of his bike a little bit to like. Because it's easier to bike when your seat is the proper height. Yeah. So I raised it up a bit. And I was like, really nice. It's probably because your seat's too high. So I lowered his seat back down. And then we kept going.
I fall again.
And I was like, give me your backpack. Like, and that's when we had like deep breath moment. And Floyd still is like just undying optimism. I got this. Like I'm okay. I got this.
Get back on the bike.
He's like, knees are bloody at this point.
Yeah. So you see in the pit stop, I have a bandage around my leg. One of the falls, I cut my knee on like a fence. We kept going, fall again, kept going.
Then we tried again. I thought, oh, maybe it's because Floyd's riding the bike with the gnome on it, and it's off balance, and so we switched bikes.
Yeah, that's what
I gave him my bike.
Yep. Keep going,
and that's I think the final time.
Yeah,
I was kind of pretty far ahead. I was just trying to get Floyd to like look, so, try and just like look far in the distance.
Yeah,
and but it didn't matter at that point.
Yep.
It was.
So the race staff, they were like, we need you to stop and we need you to lay down because you always have security with you as racers. You always have health officials with you. It feels very secure. So the first thing that happened before they laid me down is I remember there was like the security and like health people and like a couple producers, and I remember I looked in the distance and I was like, okay, because first of all, fun fact about Floyd, I love wind turbines, like the renewable energy things. I think they're so awesome. That's why I wanted to go into that field originally. So I thought I saw one of those like really close, like a mini one, and I'm like, oh, look at that! I love wind turbines. And everyone turns around and they're like, there's nothing there, Floyd.
We didn't want to tell him, like, I was trying so hard to see this wind turbine.
Yeah.
And, like, it was like, oh, is it the palm tree? Like, the light on the palm tree?
And I was like, I remember this part. I was like, I know you all think I'm crazy.
But I see it. It's there.
Like, it's there. Like, I must, like, just see it with you.
So certain it was there.
Yeah.
And we all just kind of looked at each other, and I think I mean, you could tell even in the beginning, I still had 2 backpacks on, like, helmet on, like, I was ready for Floyd to, like, sit down for a second and then regain himself, and we were going to continue this leg. And at that point, I removed the backpacks and the helmet.
So then I lay down, and then I was like, are my eyes bleeding? Like, I literally asked them if my eyes were bleeding, and they're like, no, they're fine. And I was like, can I try crying real quick to see if I can, like, cry blood? Like, I know that's not possible. These are my words. I know that's not possible. Can I just, like, cry blood real quick? And they're like, go ahead. So I started crying. Like,
you tried to, yeah.
Tried to cry, and, like, no blood came out, obviously. And then, honestly, a lot of the part after that kind of went blank in my memory. What happened?
Floyd was so... Yeah, I actually have in my journal right here, my race journal. I thought it would only be a few minutes of recovery, but it soon became clear that the situation was much worse. He was talking a mile a minute, excitedly, and then he saw a spinning wind turbine. He was sure he was seeing it, and I tried so hard to see it, but it was not there. Floyd was in full hallucination mode. Yet his positivity was still undying. He kept saying, I'm good, I feel great. He had cuts on his knees, he was shaky, he was not in good shape. After a lot of hydrating and cold towels and lying down, he went to the car to sit in the air conditioning. Eventually, he came out of the car ready to race. We were going to walk our bikes. Then I asked him what country we were in, and a look of the utmost confusion came over him. He had no idea. It was then that I realized that the race was fully over. As the power voice in this team, I blame myself. How did you feel watching last night?
The worst part, because like, okay, this
Did you
moment,
cry?
yeah, I teared up when you were tearing up, because that's when I felt the most bad. You know, it's like, it's one thing for me to watch myself be stupid and like fail at something, like it's whatever, but like, I don't know, I felt the worst part of that was like letting Becca down. You know what I mean? That sucked.
And on the same side,
go ahead.
I was gonna say the same side for me was I did not. I mean, I've been in this state of uncertainty of how I would feel watching this. Like, if we've replayed this in our head
for the past 11 months.
11
this happened
months.
11 months ago.
Yeah. So Floyd's okay. It's been a year.
Yeah, I'm good.
It took a day. Yeah. And this is a secret we haven't told anyone. It's been inside of us. A something that never happened.
It's been in the skeleton.
Now is released.
It's been the skeleton in Team Fun's closet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's rough because everyone's like, you guys are totally gonna win, or like, you guys are great, and it's like, thank you, we really appreciate that. Like, everyone's support and positivity, even after this happened, has like literally been insane.
I mean, I was like bawling last night. Like I was really crying, and it was all just kind of as soon as we got on those bikes. Even like I started to cry, just knowing what was coming, and just seeing Floyd struggling so hard and not giving up. Like really, that like it's cool that you know what emotionally got us most was just kind of the other. That's
gross.
We got legitimately eliminated.
Yep.
We were out of there.
So what sucks and is awesome at the same time is that when you get eliminated, you go to sequester in this location in another country.
Undisclosed location.
Undisclosed. But since we got eliminated so close to the end, they just flew us straight to the end city. Because there's only like 2 to 3 days of the race left.
We actually had a layover in Seoul, South Korea, which is where
we had a layover the next leg.
So we got to go to every single city. We circumnavigated the globe.
We did.
We did it.
You're right.
We did it all.
You're right. We did it.
We did everything.
Yeah. We've learned a lot, and if we're blessed to be on an all-star season, blessed. We're gonna amp up physical training, amp up our, we've been talking about this, like what we did well, what we didn't do well, what our thought process was.
Floyd's gonna give me more feedback.
Yeah.
More feedback, Floyd.
Mm-hmm. Shut up! Ultimately, the biggest takeaway was that in that moment we got so wrapped up in getting first place that we forgot to appreciate where we were. We forgot to, have fun with the challenge. And just realize we just need to not be eliminated. Because honestly, even with me, in that moment, starting Roadblock, I was like, it was me and Matt. And as soon as Matt was about to leave, I felt like I had to leave too. You know what I mean? When I really should have thought, how am I tying these straps on? Let's come up with a strategy about how we can do this, balance this bike. It's not impossible. If I figured that out and really had that reserve at the beginning, who knows what would happen. But it's okay. Also, follow us on social media. This is not our last video. We still want to see what happens, even though we know
what happens next.
We still gonna watch the rest of the line.
We don't know.
We have
also, if you want to get your own fun-o-meter, go to www.funstoppables.com.
Yep.
Fun-o-meters.
Fun-o-meter. Yep. But hey, stay on this channel. We're not done. We still have a lot more to bring out, so it'll be good.
Stay with us.
Team Fun.
Team Fun for life.
Funstoppables. Amazing race.